Hello and welcome to my channel. In this video we're gonna talk about Canon 1100D, which is a camera from 2011, so it's almost 9 year old. Whether this camera is still good enough in 2020 and 2021, because this year is about to end. This is the month of November, so many of you might also be considering to buy this camera in 2021 of eBay or someone selling this on marketplace on Facebook or some other you know or some other website where you sell the old stuff. So let's begin the video, guys. So I have this 1100D with the kit lens. It's the standard kit lens. It's not a USM lens, neither it's a STM lens. So it's the older version of Canon lens, but this does have the image stabilization in it. So you can have like 4 stops of image stabilization. So it will give you a steady shot. And this one is a 12 megapixel camera. It can shoot up to 3 frames per second, and if it comes to the video, it can make 720p videos. That is HD video. It's not a full HD video. It does not have any built-in mic input, so you cannot attach any external mic into this camera. And yeah, now let's talk about the good things about this camera. So when it comes to the photography, I think it is still a very good camera. The ISO range on this camera goes up to 6400, and inside the home or in low light situation, it was able to capture decent image. Yeah, but I had to bump up the ISO a bit, and there was some grains in it, but still the images were quite decent. And if you are shooting outside in good lighting condition, and you have ISO towards the lower side like 100 or 400, so you can still like pull in quite a lot of details from the shadows and the highlights. So still it's a pretty good camera, and it has a dynamic range of 11 EV, which is pretty decent. So if you are a landscape shooter, I think you can use this camera smartly, and later on pull off the shadows and bring down the highlights. And when it comes to portrait, I think it can still take a really good portrait if you put a 50 mm lens over this, which is very cheap. You can get that for like $50, and then you can take a really good portrait shot with nice background blur. And if you look at the back side of the camera, so it has very less buttons, and it's such a simple camera to use. And even though I'm not a Canon user, I usually use a Nikon body, but for me it was not a problem at all to switch to this camera. Even though I'm a Nikon user, I was able to very quickly adjust to this camera, because there are very few buttons, and I was able to change all the settings very easily. You can see there are a dedicated button for ISO, changes of the autofocus or white balance, and different stuff. And when you are in this screen, you have to press this Q button, and then you can go around in different settings, and you can change them. And another good thing about this camera is the live view. So right now you can see that I'm in the live view, and you can see my face. So the good part about the live view is that if you are using manual focus lenses, so you can zoom in using this zoom button, and then manually focus the lens. So it's a very handy feature, right, guys? Okay, now talking about the photography point of view, it's very easy to use camera. Very minimal buttons. If you see the top side of this camera, it has the standard selection wheel with aperture priority, fully manual, TV, that is the shutter priority, and some other presets that most of the Canon cameras have. And on the side, you have the option to connect it via USB to your computer, and this one is the HDMI port in case you wanna connect to some external monitor. And on the bottom side, you have the battery. So here you can see it's the battery, and we have this SD card over here. So you don't have the SD card on the side like most of the cameras, so it's over here. Now let's talk about the bad part about this camera. So the bad part about this camera is that it can shoot only up to 720p when you are making video. which is really not good enough for today's standard. So if you plan to use this camera for making YouTube videos, so it's not good enough. Maybe you can go to 1200D, 1300D, or 500D or 550D or 600D, because they can record in full HD, and they also give you fully manual control in the video. Another bad part about this camera is that, if you are in the video mode, so it's fully automatic, guys. You cannot control any setting whatsoever. You cannot change the shutter speed or aperture or ISO. The camera is controlling each and everything. The only thing that you can change is the focus, that too if you are in a manual focus. So if you have already set the focus before you started the video, then you cannot change the focus either, which is really bad. So this is actually not a good camera at all if you are planning to make any videos whatsoever. Okay guys, now I'm recording the video using this Canon 1100D, and this one is just a 720p, that is HD camera. So it's not a full HD camera, and it's fully automatic, so you cannot control the aperture, shutter speed, ISO, or whatever. The only thing that you can change is the exposure compensation, guys. So the thing is that, once you start the video recording, so you have to focus it prior to you when you start the video recording. So if you have already started the video recording, you cannot change the focus mode, or the only way to do that would be, to put your camera back on the manual focus. So right now I'm back on the manual focus, so now I can turn in the focus ring and try to manually adjust the focus. So right now this looks in focus. So if I try to focus on something else, let's say I try to focus on this leaf, yeah, now it's in focus. So that's the only way that you can control this camera to some extent. But if you put it on autofocus, then you cannot control anything. And the video footage out of this camera is not that great actually. So you can maybe go for Canon 500D or 550D. Those are much better compared to this one. And the audio coming out of this video is directly through the mic on the camera. So I'm not using any external mic whatsoever. Who is this camera for? So this camera is for those people who want to get into DSLR photography, because you can get this one used for around 800 Swedish kroner, which is around 80 US dollar, or maybe you can find it even cheaper use for like 60 or 70 US dollar, uh, depending on the condition of the camera. So it's purely like a photographic camera, and you can casually record some videos if the lighting conditions are good, but you don't have any control over the video whatsoever. The only way you can control something in the video is if you install Magic Lantern software onto this camera via some firmware update. Then you can manually control the video as well. And coming to the question of the video, whether you should buy this camera in 2020 or 2021, I would say if you are only into photography, then you can consider this camera, because it's 12 megapixel, very easy to use. It can take Canon EF lenses, and it takes quite nice photos. And if you are learning the basics of photography, yeah, it's a good camera for beginner. I can definitely recommend it if it is only photography. But if you're into videography as well, you make some casual videos and also do photography, then I would say don't go for this camera. Go for Canon 500D or 550D, or Canon 1200D or 1300D. Those are much better camera, complete package. They can shoot in full HD and give you full manual control in the video, and yeah, they are also good in photography and very easy to use as this camera. Okay guys, I hope you like this video, and subscribe to the channel, share the video. You can follow me on Instagram as well, drop me a message there. You can find the link in the description of the video, and I'll see you in the next video, guys.